Welcome, everybody. It has been a while since I've been in my kitchen cooking. I've been away for a couple of weeks. My son got married was married into a wonderful family, which we are now a part of. It was a wonderful couple of weeks, but now it's time to get back to reality. And part of that is me getting back to healthy eating and sharing what I'm doing with all of you. I appreciate all the support that I've gotten as I'm coming back. It's so fun to hear from everybody and to share, what our experiences have been. Today, what I wanted to talk to you about is non-dairy milks. About 10 years ago, I stopped, maybe even more, 15 years ago, I eliminated dairy from my diet, basically because I have allergies, seasonal allergies that tend to be aggravated by the mucus-producing properties of dairy products. And I found when I got off of dairy, my sinuses cleared up. I was so used to having at least one or two sinus headaches every winter. Not anymore. So if you haven't tried going off of dairy, just to see how it agrees with you, you might want to try it. Here are a couple of fabulous ways to make a very satisfying, flavorful, and healthy milk alternative. I use it with cooking. I use it to just pour over my porridge. I actually made a cashew cream, and cashew milk is one of the milks that we're going to make, and I could tell you how to make the cream, but you can see how nice and thick it is. I added a little bit of cinnamon to it, a little bit of honey, topping it over berries. Yum, really delicious. So why would you want to do this? Why don't you just go out and buy it, right? Well, I did a little research into this, and when I looked into things, turns out that the commercially made products do not have very much of the nut in it. In the case that I looked at, it was almonds, and as you can see here, I've got a couple examples. So it is estimated that you're getting about 4 almonds in a typical 8-ounce serving of almond milk that you can buy commercially made. Compared to, and I measured them out just to see, these, and I don't even know how many here, maybe about 30 almonds when I make it myself. The result is you have a milk that is nice and rich and thick and creamy, not because there are additives added to it, which is what they do when they only have 4 almonds. So there's orgum, carrageenan that's added as thickeners. There's lecithin that's added to keep it emulsified. Not so when you make it yourself. And you can vary it up. You can add sweeteners to it. You can add vanilla to it. I tend to like it just straight plain. And here is an example of a walnut butter that I've made. It is nice, thick, and creamy. I'm going to pour a little bit out so you can see just how the consistency of it is just naturally nice and thick. And this is actually nice and thick. It's almost on a cream side, but I like it this way because I pour it over my porridge in the morning. You can see how nice and thick and creamy that is. All right. So, enough talking, right, Evie? Okay, let's get to it. So what I wanted to do is to show you 2 different types of milks that I make. I did just show you the walnut milk, which I will not be making today, but it's made similarly. So as I go along, I'll let you know how that is similar to what I will make, which is cashew milk. So cashew milk is simple milk to make. It's easier than almond milk. That's going to be our second milk that we make today. But the reason being is that cashews are very naturally creamy, as are the walnuts. So we don't have to strain them out. So basically what we do, we take a blender. In this case, I've got a Vitamix here. Vitamix works really well. A high-powered blender is going to work better for you because it's going to give you a nice creamy milk at the end. So I prepared my nuts by soaking. So soaking does a few things. One is it softens up the nut so that it gets a creamier consistency, so there's less little pieces in it, which is good. The other thing too is if you are consuming a lot of nuts, it's good to soak them overnight because that helps remove some of the phytates or phytic acid that tends to bind up nutrients when we eat them. It also makes nuts easier to digest because it limits the enzymes, the enzyme inhibitors that are found on the outside of nuts. When you think about it, nuts don't want to be eaten, so they have these natural protective ingredients on their outer surface. So soaking it overnight or even for a few hours is a way to start breaking down those phytates. And you could add a little bit of salt to it too, which helps. Let me just get a strainer. All right. So I'm just going to strain these nuts and give them a little bit of a rinse. Now, I have 1 cup of cashews here. When I'm making my nice, thick, creamy milk, the way I showed you with the walnuts, I will add 1 cup of my nuts to 2 cups of my water. So 1 to 2. I'll do that with the walnuts and I do that with the cashews. If you want a little bit of flavor, it's nice to add in just a pinch of salt. Salt in this case helps enhance the flavor of the nut milk. You could add a little bit of vanilla. I'm going to leave mine plain. I really like it plain this way. When I do the almond milk, I'll add in a few flavorings. So just a minute of noise here. I'm going to start out a little bit on a low speed. Just increase it as I go. Now what I want to do is I want to make sure that everything is very well mixed up. So I'm going to pulse it a little bit. I let the pieces settle to the bottom and then pulse it again. I want to put it on high. Okay, and that's it. So as easy as that. It's more, nutritious for us. It has none of the additives to it that we do not need. Some of the thickeners that are added to milks have been shown to irritate the intestinal lining in some people. So why not just avoid that, right? Let me just pour it out for you and you can see. I refrigerate this. It will last maybe about 4 days in the refrigerator. You can see how thick and creamy it is. Let me just pour it out for you so you can see. There you have it. It's like a nice, rich, creamy milk. And then you can store it in a mason jar just like this. Or I have actually purchased at a flea market a nice milk bottle that works really well. It doesn't keep as long as a commercially bought milk because it doesn't have those additives, those preservatives in it. So best to cap it up and put it right in the fridge. But before I do that, I just want to take a taste. Just to show you. Again, it's nice, it's thick, it's creamy. Oh, that's so good. So the thing with cashew milk is it has its very own natural sweetness to it, which is so pleasant, which makes it great for making a cream, as I was saying, as a topping, like almost like a whipped cream. And it can go on its own. You could drink it on its own if you'd like to do it that way, and put it on top of porridge again, as I said. So let me just rinse out my Vitamix container. I don't need to be too finicky about it because we're going to be making another milk. This time I'm going to be making almond milk. Now, I have made almond milk in the past and done workshops where I use the almond milk to make yogurt. Oh, by the way, that cashew milk makes a great yogurt. You need to buy a special culture that is specially made for non-dairy yogurts. It's a little bit more finicky than regular yogurt cultures, but it is so, so good. So, let me just move my cashew cream out of the way. And bring over my almonds. So again, I had my almonds soaking overnight with probably about a teaspoonful of salt, just to get rid of those phytates and to soften up the nuts. Now, you'll find with almonds, they're a little bit tougher than cashews. So we're going to need to do a little bit extra to get a nice, smooth milk. I know some people don't even bother to strain it. I like to strain it. I don't like the fiber in it, but again, you're losing the fiber. What I like to do is I keep that fiber, I dry it out, and I use it as flour for other recipes like crackers. Okay, so I had my 1 cup of almonds. They usually swell up to about 1 1/4 cups. And to this now, I'm going to add 2 1/2 cups of water. Remember, with the cashew and the walnut, I usually add about 2 cups. But it makes a very thick, creamy milk. If you want to thin down your cashew milk or your walnut milk, just add more water. If you want it thicker, add less. All right. Before I blend it up, though, say I want to sweeten it up. If I'm making, say, yogurt, I need to add in sugars to give the culture something to feed on. So what I'll typically do is add about 2 to 3 dates, and I'll usually double up this recipe, so it makes it worth my while. All right, so let's get this going. You'll notice it's also noisier, so give me a minute. Now, you may notice, I don't know if you can tell, but the milk is darker in color. That's because I didn't blanch the almonds beforehand. I just used them whole. If you like, you could use blanched almonds as well, which would give you a whiter milk. But the reality is, we're going to strain out those pieces of pulp and those outer layers of skin. So it really isn't necessary to go through that step. So I'm just trying to debate whether, no, I think we're good. Typically I might give it another spin a little bit longer, but since it makes a lot of noise and we're under a little time constraint here, we'll just move on to the straining part. And this is where almond milk almost is like milking a cow. You'll see why I say that. All right, so you know what I have? I have this handy crockery here, that I have a bag, and this is literally called a nut bag, and it is used just for this, to strain out nut milks. I've used it so many times. It started out white, and it over the years has turned colors because of the number of times that I have poured milk through it. All right, so now what I want to do is, you can see I'm literally just straining all of the milk that I have here And you almost need to press it and pulse it and keep squeezing it until you've dried out all of that pulp. It takes a little while to do. We'll see how long we get, how far we get in our time, right? Sometimes if you squeeze it too hard, it tends to go all over the place, so you have to be a little bit patient. And this is why almond milk takes a little bit longer to produce than the other milks, which is why I've stopped making as much almond milk as I used to, and I make more of the cashew or the walnut. I find the walnut milk tastes great in coffee or tea. My husband loves it in his coffee. So you can see I'm still getting a fair amount out, which is regular pressure on the bag. And ideally, I'll keep doing this until I'm getting little to nothing out. You can see I'm just kind of pressing on it, alternating, almost like milking a cow. The closest I think you'll get to milking an almond. There's a lot of controversy over calling this almond milk or nut milks. And I know the dairy industry has been, lobbying and successfully changed the marketing names of milk products, milk drinks, or almond drink product. All right, so we're getting there. Probably about halfway done at this point. And this can get a little bit messy. It's okay. Worth it. Now, what I might do is go through and rinse through my container with a little bit of water and rinse what is at the bottom of the container into my bag when I'm done here and squeeze that out as well so that I have every last bit. If I'm going to go through all this trouble, I want to get all of it, right? Very good. Excellent. All right. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear who's out there watching in. Let me know. Give me a little shout out. Say hi. Again, thank you everybody for being so patient and while I was away with family wedding. It's taken a little while to get back into the swing of things. But I'll be back and you'll be seeing more of me in the next few months with new cooking programs coming out. I'm going to do a fall cooking program, maybe one to help me get back on track, get away from the sugars. As you know, when you're doing a celebration, it's very hard to eat healthy and clean. In those cases, I just do my best, use that 80-20 rule, control what I can, let go of what I can't, and knowing that when I get back home, I'll have much more control over my diet and my meals. All right, so I would probably continue to squeeze this out even more. You can still see I'm getting a fair amount out with each squeeze. But in the interest of time, I'm going to put this aside. Let me rinse my hands. All right. And as I said, what I could do is just take a little bit of this and add a little bit of water to it and spin it up on the machine again. And I'm going to do that after the class is over. But in the meantime, I wanted to show you what the almond milk looks like. Let me grab, there we go, a glass measuring cup so you can really see what we've got here. I'm just going to pour it out. Now this has the consistency of milk. It's a little bit thinner than the cashew cream or the cashew milk that I made. Let me just rinse this out. So you can see. Oh, and you know what I might want to do? I'm going to add in about 1/4 teaspoon of my vanilla extract and just a little pinch of salt to bring out the flavors. Remember, I added a little bit of sweetener in there. You know what? We'll just use this as a spoon. And this will make it more like a coffee creamer. If you like to do that, feel free to add in like a hazelnut or something. Oh, wow. Very sweet. It actually came out sweet. It'll thin down a little bit as I continue to do the bag, but oh, it's really good. So there you have it. Let me just clean up my countertop here a little bit, and we can go through what we have here. You can see it does make a little bit of a mess, but all worth it, and all done within 20 minutes. I did 2 different types of non-dairy milks. I did this one up real quick, the walnut milk, this morning. We made our cashew, and here is our almond milk, which I'm going to put into my little milk container so I can put it into the refrigerator. Again, refrigerate these as soon as possible because they don't have preservatives in them. And there you go, our trio of non-dairy milks. All right, so I hope you get a chance to try these. Let me know if you do. It will be so fun to hear back, to hear how your milk came out and how you used it. Remember, I said I used the cashew cream over berries. You could use it over your porridge in the morning as well. So glad you guys stopped by. I will be here next week. Until then, eat healthy. If you have any questions, feel free to private message me, contact me on my website, eveyschweig.com. Check out more recipes there for anti-inflammatory eating, which is designed to help us age better and feel better. All right? Stay well. Thanks for everybody waiting for me to come back. Appreciate all the support you've given, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.